And good afternoon. It's Monday night. It's the time again. It's Dialogue with Dozell. You got your boy Dozell. I'm Dozell himself in the flesh. How are you? Welcome to tonight's It's a Hot Button Monday. And wow, what a Monday night is proving to be. What a night it is. A lot of stuff going on. Let me just give a disclaimer, which I'll probably be giving a further disclaimer possibly next week. Tonight we had intended, and I think we mentioned we were going to do a program where we were going to, that was not aimed at a person or a candidate, but it was a program that was really going to look at why a group of people in such vast numbers would support a person who had so many charges and so many things going on against them, and why that person, you know I'm talking about 45, why they could be in line to be the president of the United States again through an election, which they were literally tied with the Democratic frontrunner. And there's been a lot of pushback on that. And because of some of the things that's occurring in the world tonight, I am opting not to do that show tonight. Maybe next week, maybe a little long further down the road. Tonight, I want to just kind of get in touch with our viewers and do a hot button Monday. Of course, of what has happened in the Middle East and a lot of things going on. I have a friend. Next week, we're going to be dedicating the show to a friend of mine who passed on last week. A good friend of mine who left us on last week. But I have another friend who is actually in the Middle East, and my last information from that person is that they are not out of Israel. They are in Jordan. The airline, I won't call the carrier's name, has canceled their flights, so they can't get out of Israel. I mean, they can't get out of Jordan, and any transportation out of anywhere in that region is increasingly difficult right now. But they're trying to get out of, they're out of Israel. They were in the heart of Israel. In fact, this morning, when I woke, this person messaged me that the bombs, we shared a prayer last night, and the person was messaging me this morning that the bombs were going off again. And so this is just what we're facing. So the situation in the Middle East is very perilous right now. And it's because of that. I'm going to kind of lay off a lot of that stuff. And this is a time when we need to be citizens of the world. And particularly, we need to be Americans. And that's exactly precisely what we're going to do. We're going to be Americans. So tonight, we are going to talk about what's going on over there. We're going to look at some of the political climate here. And we're going to talk about some of the things that's going on Capitol Hill, because all of these things are intertwined and they affect our lives. You pay taxes. I know somebody saying, yes, I do pay taxes. Do you? And we see the numbers of people that are on. Feel free to just let us know you're here and join in the dialogue. It's a hot button Monday, and I can't do it by myself tonight. I need you. I need to hear from you. With that being said, I simply want to say that yesterday in our online church service, we were virtual on yesterday, and this is how I asked for prayers. Certainly, we had the conflict, and we're all aware of the conflict that's going on the Gaza Strip. Well, actually into Israel right now, and I asked our people to pray for Israel. Good morning, good evening, Curtis. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Hop on and join us in the conversation tonight. Share it out and tell somebody else. So I asked the people to pray for Israel. That's the popular thing online. But I also ask people to pray for the Middle East, because whenever there's a conflict, there's more than one person involved. So there are there's two nations or two regions, and a lot of innocent people are involved. So a lot of the death toll now is up to 1,400, 1,100 confirmed Americans are amongst that number, and I'm so sad to hear about that. I'm so grateful to be able to say that my friend who is visiting and was posting and telling us about the trip, I'm so grateful that person is on their way to safety, because we believe in the faith that they're safe anyway. But I'm so glad of that. So um, there are 1,400 confirmed Americans dead. I understand there's up to 3,000 people over in the Gaza Strip that have been killed as a result of the retaliation from Israel. And along there's always collateral damage. And in collateral damage, there are always innocent people. So what we're last hearing is that Israel is informing everybody in that Gaza Strip that 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 small geographic area, which has nearly 1 million people condensed in there, they're telling them to get out. And the thing that's like saying to somebody, like coming to a hood and say, "Hey, get out, get out, get out, get out now, get out now. These are your choices: get out, or we're coming in with bombs." And so when you're saying something like that, and they're saying, "Man, we're doing all we can to afford to stay here. Where are we going on this short notice?" So it is indeed, it's a sad situation. There was a rock concert that was going on over there on Friday night, going into Saturday morning, and the Palestinians, or Hamas rather, raided it and just went into Israel and scooped up. Where we understand there are at least 100. There are at least 100 people that have been kidnapped. And the news that the latest intelligence, and speaking of intelligence, wow, that's a trip of its own. But the latest intelligence is that there are these people, these 100 people, which include many Americans, are being held as human shields. And so the latest that we're getting is that they're being moved from place to place. And if you know anything about that region, in Gaza, where the Palestinians live, in Hamas and several what we would call terrorist groups, they would look as freedom fighters or whatever we would call, they would be labeled rather as terrorist groups. That there are many tunnels that go deep into Israel. So we don't know where these hostages are being taken. Israeli citizens and American citizens alike, where they're being moved to. We understand that they're constantly being moved. And so were it not for that, Israel probably would have already gone in and done much damage. We understand that they have the ground troops are moving in, and they're literally going to be going house to house, trying to remove, trying to locate the hostages, and that's what's keeping them from just making that area, the Gaza Strip, a parking lot, from what we understand. Now, without getting into all of the geopolitics about who the land belongs to and why there is this age-old war, we know that it comes on the heels of a 50-year, we won't say anniversary, but 50 years ago is when the war, the 7-year war, the 7-week war, what was it, that took place between the Palestinians and the Israelites. And if that's what's causing this to happen at this time, we don't know. We don't have the particulars on that, but we can tell you that this is what's going on. And so we're asking you to pray for the region. My friend is still on the way home with family members. We know that Senator Cory Booker was there, and the people that were in his party. Cory Booker has made it to safety, but many of the people that were in his party have not gotten. They're still in the area. They're still, we don't know exactly if they're in Israel proper, but they're still in the area. They have not been able. My friend just texted me a little bit ago and said that there are no flights, and a lot of people are slated to go into that region, and it's just a mess. It's just really a mess. And I don't know, maybe we could say that it is a blessing that what's going on over in Egypt, in Ukraine, has the other quote unquote superpower has their attention. I'm sure they have an eye on what's going on. It's heavily believed that Iran has his hand. It has been known from time to time to be a supporter of Hamas, and so we're just watching all of those facts right now. We're looking at all of that right now, and we're just watching, and we're being very vigilant and very prayerful. And we're asking you, listen, Curtis, anybody, if you have a comment, just weigh right in and comment, and we'll keep you up. We'll keep you up on my friend who's in the region, and it's amazing. We're so many miles apart. We're so far apart, but digitally, we're all brought together. Had this happened 30 years ago, 50 years ago, we would be depending on the three major networks to report that: ABC, CBS, and NBC. Now, cable, proliferation of cable and the internet and these things makes everything right, brings everything right to our attention right away. So that is a serious thing, and it affects the entire world. It affects the entire world because if Iran is in fact behind this, then politically, some parties are already saying here in the United States that the Democrats paid money when 44 was in office. We paid money with the deal that was made with Iran, and that same money is being used to have been a part of this attack. There's just a whole lot of facts that we don't know. One thing we do know is that Israel, because it's in such a vulnerable state, it's in that region. You have Israel, you have the water on one side, and you have the state of Israel on the other side, Egypt on the other border, then the Gaza Strip. And this is happening so fast. I apologize for not having a map. This is going on so fast. Israel is just highly covered by those Middle Eastern countries, many of those that are enemies to them. And so Israel is always on standby and always on attack. You can see they're using some of the anti-missile defense systems to protect them now. And I'm sure as their chief ally, a lot of what they're using has come through us and from us. I understand that we have warships that are already in the area that are moving closer to the area. This is going to be a major thing. And in the midst of the war in Ukraine and all of that, this is a major thing. All is affected. Let's pray as we pray for Israel. Let's pray for the poor people over there on the Gaza Strip, because many of those, most of them, are innocent people, and all of their services are being disconnected. I think in 3 days it will have absolutely no power because Israel has intercepted the diesel fuel, which allows them to get the light, that keeps their light grid going up. So all of these things are going on. And there are a lot of innocent people. A lot of innocent people have already lost their lives. There are a lot of innocent people that are hostages. There are a lot of innocent people on both sides. Hey, we have innocent people that are in the region that are trying to get to safety. So I'm going to ask people of faith and of all over the world to just, let's pray for safety. Let's pray for the region. Let's pray for Israel. Let's pray for safety in the Middle East. And let's pray that this will come to a quick end. Indications are in the natural realm is that they're not going to, it's not coming to a quick halt, but I'm going to ask you all to please to be in prayer that will happen. And I want to make this comment. Well, first, let me say this. Israel has one of the best intelligence networks. I started saying that because of its political vulnerability, its physical, their safety is, they're so vulnerable where they're located. However, this seemed to have slipped in on them. And it just goes to show you, no matter how well equipped, how prepared you are, these things can happen. And that appears to be what has happened. This came without, it caught Israel totally with their pants down. It caught them totally off guard. And apparently we were caught off guard. I know if there's evidence that Iran is involved, there are going to be great consequences across the board, and the EU is involved. Britain has already shown it's great. They have already lended financial support to Israel in view of this attack, and there's just going to be a lot of things going on. So I'm just going to ask people a prayer to pray. It kind of reminds you of the 9/11 attack that we suffered on September the 11th of 2001. So and we know how that crippled us, not only our finances, the financial systems of our nations and of the world, the stock market, how all of these things were affected, but how it crippled us emotionally, how it crippled us psychologically, how it just the vulnerability of all of these things, what a difference all of this makes. So we're asking for your prayers, and asking you to be prayer for the region and the poor people that are being affected by this. And if you have a comment, we would be glad to hear from you. So again, I'm going back to what I said on yesterday. Let's just pray for all of the poor people, all of the people that are unsafe over in that region. Let's just lift them up in prayer. And one thing we know, God is able to get past all of this and work through bombs and missiles and defense, all of that stuff. God's able to work through all of it. He's able to change the hearts of men and women. And so we're asking them, boys and girls, we're asking just prayers. Those of you like us who believe in the power of prayer, let's just be prayerful. Now, the next thing that's going on in America politically, and we're going to do sports on the second half and talk a little culture. Madam Producer taught me to look at YouTube and see whenever we're doing these hot button Mondays to see what's trending. There's a lot of stuff trending, a lot of stuff that's almost like foolishness in the culture that I'm not going to even deal with. But the other major thing is that Adam Gase last Wednesday, I think it was, led a delegation in the Republican conference, and Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy was removed from the House of the Speaker was removed as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Washington D.C. Now, there's a lot of ramifications for that. For example, the line of succession to the Oval Office, the White House, is the Vice President, and then the next person is the Speaker of the House. That office, that seat, is currently vacated. Now, I think tomorrow there's going to be some meeting of the Republican conference, some meetings, and that will even possibly lead to a vote. And Congressman Jim Jordan, who is another MAGA fanatic, and another gentleman, I cannot think his name, I'm not going to even Google him, are likely the two candidates. And with there being two people running as opposed to one, remember Kevin McCarthy ran for the Speaker of the House. He has been running for quite a while. He was elected in January, and he made major concessions to occupy that position. For instance, usually it takes a committee of people to come up to usher in a vote to remove a Speaker of the House. He sold his political soul and made it where only one person could remove the Speaker. One person could put the vote on the floor, and that Speaker could be moved. So this all goes back to the not the debt ceiling, but the government shutdown that was looming over us on this time 3 weeks ago. Kevin McCarthy made a deal. He worked with some Democrats, and they made a deal, and the deal kept the government functioning for 45 days until November the 17th, I think. And at that time, on November 17th, it'll come back up to another vote as we come to the end of the year. A government shutdown would have immediately halted the salaries of, and it's amazing that politicians in Washington escape this, but our service people, many of our service providers, TSA, air traffic controllers, all of these people's salaries are immediately frozen. Now, it doesn't mean that they won't get paid. It means they don't get paid until the government comes together and passes a budget, or they make a decision to open the budget process back up, and then these salaries will be people will be paid back pay. So Kevin McCarthy, which I thought, acting as a statesman, not as a politician, but a statesman who was sent to Washington to represent the people of Washington, went to represent the people of America. He's actually a congressman from California. He made this deal and helped to keep the government afloat, which I thought was a responsible thing. This MAGA wing of the Republican Party did not agree with that. And out of frustration, because he had made, and you remember, back in January when he was elected, it was Matt Gaetz, the congressman from First District here in Florida, who he had to basically make an agreement. I can vividly see that in my mind's eye. That late that night, he made an agreement. They came to the front of the front of the House floor, and some concessions were made. Gates changed his vote. His people changed their vote, and McCarthy was elected Speaker of the House. Well, it was the same Gates who had frustrations that that McCarthy had worked so closely with Democrats, and after working so closely with Democrats to keep the government afloat, that he in turn voted to after a series of wranglings, he decided he in fact told the let Senator Representative Speaker of the House McCarthy know that all I got to do is take a vote, and I can see the X, not tweet, but X. I can see right now where McCarthy say, "Bring it on," and then he put Gates put it before the Congress, and he said, "I just brought it." And the next day, the vote was made, and all Democrats, lock, stock, and barrel, voted with those dissenting Republicans, and Gates lost. Not Gates. McCarthy lost his seat. He lost his seat as Speaker of the House. Now, when he lost his seat, kind of a get back at Democrats, the temporary who McCarthy had appointed by putting in an envelope, and his name is irrelevant anyway. He immediately moved to have Nancy Pelosi, who did not vote, likely would have voted if she'd been there. She was back in California for the funeral of Dianne Feinstein. And so she was not there to vote, but she probably, because every Democrat in the House voted against McCarthy. And they voted against McCarthy because after the deal was made, McCarthy got on the air. It was his way of kind of trying to stay halfway in between with the mega Republicans. And so he started pointing fingers at House Democrats, saying that it's because of them that these impasses keep coming. When he knows that he worked with the Democratic president, Democratic administration, and Democrats in the House that voted to keep the government afloat. So Democrats said they can't trust him. He's lied. The MAGA wing of the Republican wing said we can't trust him. He's lied. Bernard Mason is on, my good friend. He says the GOP is almost totally dysfunctional. AKA, let's see, hashtag MAGA. Well, I think that is a very, very popular train of thought, Bernard. The only thing is that they are the majority in the House of Representatives right now, as dysfunctional as they are. And I certainly agree. And I certainly agree with them. That it is a dysfunctional brand that's going on in Washington right now. So we're going to wait to see what's going to happen. We're going to see how the Democrats are going to vote. We're going to see how the Democrats are going to vote on the new speaker, who they're going to side with. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts that are taking place, and we're here to see how all of this is going to work out. It's a lot of craziness. That's all I can say. It's just a lot of craziness going on in Washington, D.C. So when you're praying for Israel, you're praying for the Middle East, hey, pray for Israel. I mean, pray for America right now. There's a lot of craziness going on. Adam Gates, who led this fight, who made the decision and who pulled back on McCarthy, who put him in and then basically took him down, he's trying to become popular because he's all but said that, well, actually he said that he's running for the governor of Florida in 2026. And my goodness, I just can't imagine what it would be like to come from under Ron DeSantis and move to Adam Gates. That would just be crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, Bernard, absolutely, absolutely. You you see the comments he's saying most gates. We're going to get to some sports on the other side of the break. Just these are things that we need to deal with. It's a lot of craziness is going on, and just a little. I was looking at a friend of mine that I know from Illinois, where we moved to South Florida from, and that friend said they casted the weather, and it showed so much of a dew point, not a dew point, a frost point is expected today for Illinois. And my friend said, "Man, I'm not ready for this." I know when we lived there, Halloween was always the breaking point. There was always a precipitation that took place on Halloween night, and that's when it happened. That's when either there was snow, frost, sleet. There was some kind of precipitation, and from that point on, it was on. It was actually on. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, Matt Gates. Yes. Oh, I know Gates' name, Bernard. I know him because he's the one who wants to be president. So I actually, really, honestly know him. So there is just, man, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I haven't really scratched the surface. We know politically, Biden has apparently slid just a little bit ahead of the former president, the former guy in the polls, and that was a phenomenon that I was going to discuss tonight, maybe next week. He's slightly ahead of him. He's gone slightly ahead of him in the polls, and it's not exactly a dead even heat as it was. Our Governor Ron DeSantis he's gone way down. He's down with the rest of the pack now. And Nikki Haley apparently is the darling of the Republican Party. Should this president, since the former president, something happened in his spot, his lock on the nomination fall, it's a lot of stuff going on. These are some crazy days that we're living in. Some crazy things are going on. Listen, let's go to break, and we're going to do our halfway point, and then we're going to get on. We'll just talk about some fun. So let's talk about some sports and some other stuff, and we'll just keep praying through some of these other things. Let's do that. GoGigaWorld.com. They got all of your virtual needs. You heard that before. You know that to be true. Sign on GoGigaWorld.com. They do web building, all of these things. They got you covered. Check them out and let them help you and be a blessing to you. Listen, I want to do a shout out today. And I'm going to shout out a man that I've had the blessing of knowing for the last 18 years and working with. I spent as much time almost as I do with my spouse for the last 18 years. He is Coach Steve Davis. Coach Steve Davis. He is the very eminent head football coach. He's a head ball coach at Plantation High School. And that's him. He's a tall guy that you see standing there in front of Code Red, which is the Plantation football team. You'll see him with members of his family. You'll see the principal, and there are other slides that's going to show the principal, and there she is. And the athletic director, Coach Davis, and the young man you see back there with his hands sprayed in a white suit, that's Coach Serge Nichols, and you're going to hear about him in a second. Coach Davis was the original inductee into the Plantation High School Red Coat Hall of Fame. In the NFL, you get a gold blazer. Well, Plantation has a Hall of Fame for its starlets, its stars and starlets. Coach Davis was the original person. There was a celebration. Last week was homecoming. If you saw my page, you saw it. I mentioned that. I had some photos and some videos of the game. And Coach Davis, we shout him out. He was the original inductee into the Plantation Red Coat Hall of Fame. He has 18 years at Plantation. He has, I think it's 5 division championships at Plantation. He's gone 2 and 3 deep rounds into the playoffs. There are always those teams from Miami that seems to get us. Coach Davis is a state champion. Before he and his staff came to Plantation, they were over at Blanche Ely High School in Pompano Beach for 7 years, where he coached the great Tyrone Moss and other great ones. And Coach Davis won his group won a state championship over at Ely. He's a state championship coach, and we shout him out. He's a man of great morals and great character. He teaches great characters on by his side every day to these young men. He pours into them and the young ladies that work with us. He's more than just a X and O's man. He teaches our men and the young ladies who work with us peripherally how to be good citizens, good fathers, good mothers, good citizens, and just good people overall. And we shout you out, Coach Davis. It's only fitting that you would be the initial inductee into the Red Coat Hall of Fame. Now, the young man you saw on the other slide that I pointed to, that is, he is Serge Nichols. He's an employee over at Plantation High School. He's on the coaching staff. He coaches the running backs there. It was he and Coach Antoine A.M. Haynes. A.M. is also, I should have sent that photo of him, but we'll catch him next week. They came up with this idea. They sold it to Principal Bristol and the committee, and they came up and they honored Coach Davis in a pep rally and culminated the celebration at the game on Thursday night. So we celebrate you, Coach Davis. We celebrate these young men and Coach Darrell Strong, Darrell Strong, and Corey and Coach Corey and all of you all who helped to come up with this idea, and it became a thing of the future. And Coach Davis is already talking about others who will be going into this Hall of Fame on next year. But it's only fitting that he's the only one in there right now. He's the initial one. Coach Davis, we salute you. Keep on keeping on. We know you have a few more years before you before you sit down in the school system. But thank you for what you mean to so many people. Coach Davis has been the head coach of great people like Ryan Shazier, Chris Lamons, his own son, Zachary Davis. Some of Chris is in the league now. Ryan Shazier, as you know, had a great career, Hall of Fame career in the league before his injury, and he's still contributing. Just great men that are in the league, and those great linemen that he had at Ely High School. They've gone to great schools. University of Miami, that whole line from Ely almost went to the University of Miami. They have been scattered all over this country. And every year, Coach Cobb, Coach Black, and others help to see that these kids get scholarships and go on to further their education. Kids that I've coached from my position are doing that. And it's all because of the program that Coach Steve Davis has amassed over at Plantation High School. We salute you, sir. Coach Davis says, thank you, Coach Varner. Would not be there without your help. Appreciate you, my brother. We appreciate you, and we love you, Coach. We can say that on this show. We thank and appreciate you. Listen, let's get away from some of the crazy politics and the politics and stuff that's going on, some of the tragedies going on in the days. Well, let's talk a little sports. Stick with us, Mama. Don't stay with us. Ladies, stay with us. Saturday was one of the craziest days of college football that we've seen in a long time. And it started with the Red River Classic. It started with the Red River Classic is the game that's played in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas, between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns. This year, both teams were undefeated. Texas was number 3 in the nation. I think Oklahoma may have been number 11 or something down there. Both teams came in undefeated. Last year, Texas embarrassed Oklahoma. They beat them like 49-0 or something like that. Some of these guys on the Oklahoma team said that was fuel for them. That game went to Oklahoma having the lead until the last minute and a half or something in the game. Texas took the lead. I think it was I think it was a 3-point lead or 4-point lead. They took the lead, and Oklahoma marched down the field in a matter of seconds and took and scored a touchdown from about 9 yards out, and won the game with 15 seconds left. And Texas was unable to overcome that last second touchdown. And that was just crazy. Just wanted to mention. So that started what was a crazy day in college football. It went on to several other games. We were sitting and looking at the University of Miami game. Miami was undefeated, playing Georgia Tech down at the stadium formerly known as Joe Robbie. I think it's Hard Rock Stadium now. And it was just a game that was lingering on and on. Miami should have put that game away once they finally garnered some momentum, and they didn't. They took the lead. All they had to do was sit on the ball for take 2 knees, and the clock would have expired after they took a 3-point lead. And they ran the ball. Coach Mario Cristobal, I was just looking at SportsCenter, and on SportsCenter, it showed that he had done that as a coach of Oregon and lost the game in overtime. Unbelievable. The whole thing totally unreal, unbelievable. So you give Georgia Tech, which really should not have been on the field with Miami, even though Miami was playing horrifically sluggish Saturday night. And this game went on till like 11:30 or something like that. You give them the ball back on a fumble. You fumble the ball down in Georgia Tech's territory with, I think it was 25 seconds left on the clock on like their 30-yard line or something like that. You hold them for 2 plays. Then you allow them to make a 35-yard pass play that was deep enough into Miami territory, almost enough for a field goal. It would have been a close one, but really right at field goal range. And then with 7 seconds left in the game, we didn't know what Georgia Tech was going to try to get closer, do a Hail Mary. The first thing I saw was when they lined up, Miami was not in any kind of prevent defense. And I saw prevent defense in the NFL yesterday. I saw the Jaguars when they were playing the Bills over in London. Well, that prevent had people lined up at the goal line at all points in between the line of scrimmage and just a few rushes. Miami had nobody back there. They were just in like a cover 3, a cover 2, a cover 3 defense. And those guys were not deep at all. And what happened was the receiver with 7 seconds left came up, and the quarterback went across the field. And these guys ran up. I guess they thought they were going to run. The guy still had room behind the line of scrimmage to throw a pass, which he indeed did. He drops off a pass. And when these guys, the safety and the cornerback drop down, this receiver gets behind them. Quarterback floats the ball. He catches a ball from like 35 yards out and wins the game. Miami has 2 seconds left on the clock for the opening. I mean, we had a kickoff and then one play, one opportunity to try to come back and miraculously win the game, and that miracle never came. So Miami lost this undefeated season. They have a conference loss. All of these crazy shenanigans, all of this crazy stuff happens because number one, we don't run the ball, we don't take a knee in the game. Then the running back fumbles the ball, and replay shows that guy actually his elbows were down before that ball came out. That should have been contested. And then you let on 3rd down with mere seconds left, you let them throw a pass, and he catches the ball in the time field goal range almost. Then on the next play, which is certain to be the last play of the game, you throw a miracle pass, and the guy runs. He catches it on about the 20-yard line, and he runs it into the end zone. Nobody's behind him. We should have done an installment. Of Are You Kidding? Are you serious? Because who believes that happened? But it sure happened to Miami. and it cost them dearly. I'm sure Miami is not in the top 25 after losing the game. After, like I say, they were already playing beyond sluggish. That wasn't enough. Southern Cal, who's undefeated, was number 10 in the nation, was playing a very motivated Arizona team. And Arizona came in as if they were national champs and came into the my mind's just escaping me tonight. Where does Southern Cal play? Southern Cal plays in the it's not the Rose Bowl. It's well, anyway, we know the stadium there in the heart of not too far from Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles. Many Olympics were held there. So they're playing, and they were down 17-0, and they came back and fought back and were down 17-14 at the half. They came back and took the lead, and then the score gets tied because after some scores on both sides, Arizona in the last few minutes, in the last quarter, they score and a 2-point conversion on the same play that you saw Kansas City run in the Super Bowl, where they beat Philadelphia, where they send the guy in motion. He comes back, and then he goes in and he catches the ball on an out route. They threw that for the touchdown on 4th down, let me add. And then the tying 2-point conversion, they catch the ball. They do the same play in the same part of the end zone, and that's what happens. So they tie the game. So we're fighting a tie score. Colorado goes down. They kick what would have been at least the leading field goal with a few minutes left. Southern Cal, I was up to probably 2 o'clock watching this finish. This was reminiscent of the finish between Colorado and Colorado State a few weeks ago, when many of us stayed up to see Colorado in that miraculous game. I'm lying in bed, and I'm having to keep from awakening my wife by cheering and shouting, or even moving too fast, doing like this, fist bumping and stuff. So Southern Cal gets the ball back. It's the Los Angeles Coliseum. I could not let it go. The Los Angeles Coliseum. They get the ball back. They drive down. They have a 1st and 10 on about the 8-yard line. First of all, Heisman Trophy sensation, Caleb Williams, what a baller he is. He throws an out route at the goal line, at the corner of the goal line, that had pick 6 written all over it. And so the receiver becomes a defender and keeps that disaster from occurring. Then they fumble the snap. It looks like they're just trying to hold on and just run out the clock to take the last second field goal, which they eventually do. They fumble the snap, they fumble the handoff, they get the ball back, and so they end up with the field goal, which has the kicker he was not at his. It was at the hash mark that was hard for. He's a left-footed kicker, and I must have been the right. I don't know. I don't ask my mechanic. And I'm a special teams coach. But anyway, that's where he was. And there was a bad snap. And they fumbled the snap, and the kick was blocked. Fortunately, the kick was not returned for a touchdown. They go into overtime. They go 2 overtimes. The second overtime, college football rules, is a 2-point conversion. Both teams got the 2-point conversions. Then that means that the next round is you line up as if you're running a 2-point play. That's how the game is finally concluded. And so Southern Cal and Coach Davis, if you're still here with us, it was like one of your chip plays, and I won't talk about it too much. It was one of our extra point conversions that we do for 2 points, but it had a formation that was even more complicated than ours. And Caleb Williams skirts into the end zone right inside the pylon, gets the ball across, and he skirts in, and they scored a 2-point conversion. Arizona comes back. They run a toss sweep that they had run successfully all night long, but not this time. They were like all over him. So Southern Cal wins the game. Again, I'm biting my tongue. I'm holding my reflexes down, trying to keep from jumping and making noise. and doing everything to wake up my wife or make the bed move or anything like that. So that was some week of that was some way to culminate college football that really started with the Texas, Oklahoma, and the Red River Classic there in Dallas. So the number one team in the nation, Georgia, just continued its dominance over previously undefeated Kentucky. They won that game convincingly. They really blew Kentucky out and show why they're actually number one. And shout out to number one to former plantation colonel who played with my son Dozell, Jeffrey Owens. Jeff is a coach on the staff up there in Kentucky at Campbellsville University, and they won on Saturday. He's doing a great job. He worked with us for a second while he was here in Fort Lauderdale. He worked with the school district. He is a fine young man. He played with the Philadelphia Eagles. He played with Georgia. He was part of a vaunted line. And Jeff Owens' story was trying to keep Jeff, his mother, and all of them came to me and said, man, what can you do to keep Jeff here? The University of Miami had a full court press on him. And I talked to one of the recruiters. He played next to my son on the line at Plantation. So I asked the recruiter, are you looking at my son? You're trying to sell. I said, look, a lot of recruiters are coming after him. He said, yeah, I know all about your son. He said, what we would like to do is have Jeff on one side and your son there. He said, in other words, if you can talk Jeff into coming, we'll offer your son too. Well, the rest is history. Jeff went on to become a renowned Georgia Bulldog, and then it propelled him into the to Philadelphia Eagles, where he was balling out, and a second knee injury. He made the decision to call it quits. But what a player he was, and a baller he was, and how well he continues to represent, as most of those young men have done as come out of that program. Shout out to you, Coach Hepler, also who preceded Coach Davis. These young men went out to well represent Plantation High School, the city, and Broward County, and South Florida as a whole. South Florida is the king of high school football. I said South Florida, not Miami. Now that's another debate. But South Florida, all of South Florida, the South Florida region, from the Palm Beaches down, we rule high school football. You can talk about Texas, you can talk about Ohio, you can talk about Pennsylvania, you can talk about California, but South Florida it is. Hey, in the NFL, some teams are starting to emerge. Wow, what a dribbling the Dallas Cowboys took on yesterday. I got kind of in, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm going to always be a Jaguar fan. That's my hometown. I like Miami Dolphins. I'm always pulled for the Dolphins. And call me whatever you want to call me. Yes, I like the Chiefs because I like offensive football. That's why I like the Golden State Warriors. I like offense. I coach offense. I've always coached offense. From when I started out coaching Gray White football, it's always been offense. I love offense. And so I love these teams. But I tried to pull for the Dallas Cowboys since Dak has been their president. I mean, the quarterback. And it just, I guess people like Southern Stephen A. and all of those guys have probably pegged it right. Dak probably, because he's approaching his extension year. And if he were to get an extension, it would mean that he would make more money also. And I don't know if businessman Jerry Jones is getting ready to do that. And if he's not getting ready to do that, then Dak might be out. And they may be elevating the young man they just acquired from San Francisco. Hey, shout out to the San Francisco 49ers. You guys look like you have amassed quite a winner. That kid, number 95, Nicholas Bosa, coached against him for 3 years here at Plantation. He and his brother and Moulton, and an array of talent that came out of that program, and he's continuing to ball out. That defense is slammed down, and that offense is as good as you want. You got Kittles at tight end. You got McCaffrey, and you have Deebo Samuels, and you have probably the Tom Brady of this era at quarterback. That young man is off the chain. You can call him Mr. Irrelevant if you want to. All I can say is that he has been undefeated in every game that he has started and finished as a San Francisco 49er. And I think that number is in double digits now. And they just dribbled the Cowboys last night. And I've been looking and laughing on social media and watching Southern Stephen A. this morning as he riddled them. But he came down with that about Dak Prescott. And all I can say for Dak, man, is, bro, we sure been pulling for you, but you're not cutting it, man. You just not making it. And that's so unfortunate because you have a lot of people. I have been, so I'm from the east side of Jacksonville. My brother would like to say out east. And everybody out there was Dallas Cowboys fans because that's where Bob Hayes played in college. And you've often heard me say that my dad was a precipitate of Bob Hayes playing football. And he, went to that pro contract, and he did his entire career with the Cowboys. And so everybody out east and a lot of people in Jacksonville are Cowboy fans. So it's easy for me to pull for Dak and wish the Cowboys their best. But not only was Dak horrific last night, Michael Parsons was totally neutralized. So the comparisons to Lawrence Taylor, stop it. I don't care how many people you put on Lawrence Taylor. 2, 3. I don't care how many people you put on. Lawrence Taylor found a way to get to that quarterback or to influence that offense. He found a way. Either you had to dedicate half of your line to keeping him off, which made it easier for Harry Carson and the rest of that defense, that Bill Belichick-led defense, to do what they needed to do. So right now, just cease it, because Parsons right now, he was a persona non grata. He was nothing yesterday. He did nothing. He did not influence that game. I think at one point he had one quarterback hurry. That's all he did. He was stopped. Yeah, they were double teaming him. But like I say, Lawrence Taylor was double teamed, and he did what he had to do. So Cowboys, man, unfortunately, you guys don't look like Super Bowl contenders right now. Maybe you can go back and retool things. We'll see how you make it through this tough part of your schedule where you got the Eagles and the Chargers and some other tough teams coming up. If you can find a way to win those games, maybe you can convince us to think that when it gets to the playoffs that you can be effective against the Eagles or the Niners. Hats off to the Niners. You guys look great. You look great. My Kansas City Chiefs, you look good. My Steelers won yesterday. My Steelers won. So I was up late Saturday night pulling Southern Cal through on their victory. So I went to sleep and missed the Steeler game, only to see that they had won. And I woke up shouting when I saw that they won on a long touchdown, and see the highlights. Man, what a defense y'all got over Mike T. What a defense. What a defense. I like to listen to Ryan Clark's the Pivot podcast. And when he had Mike T on the other week, right before the season started, you guys want to go back and look at that. There was just a lot of heartfelt stuff that goes beyond Mike T being a coach, but it showed what a compassionate brother and big brother that he was, and how he reached out and looked out for Ryan Clark as a person beyond just a football player. Probably going to end on this. Bill Belichick. A couple years ago, we were saying, who was it? Was it Belichick or was it Brady? Belichick limped into the playoffs. Brady won the Super Bowl. The next year, Bill doesn't make the playoffs. Brady loses in the playoffs. I mean, he doesn't make the playoffs. Brady loses in the playoffs. And then the third year, of course, is the last year. Brady his skills were really eroding and going down. But Belichick has now, in 2 games, has scored 3 points and suffered 2 30-plus point losses. Somebody said today it is time for Robert Kraft to have the conversation with Belichick, to call him in the office and say, Bill, as of right now, you're the coach of the New England Patriots. You're the coach. You're no longer the GM. It was 2015, and I can't even think of his name, since they had an impact. They drafted an impact player. So much for thinking you can bring any party in and put them together. That's just not working. Coach Belichick, you have won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. You won 2 more as an assistant, as a defensive coordinator. Consider your options and go out on top. And that's all I'll say about that. Basketball is right around the corner. We're going to see what my Warriors can do. We're going to see what my Heat can do. Jimmy Butler, that hair dog, you got to do something with that, man. That ain't going to cut it, bro. They didn't get Dame Dollar down here. They say Tyler Hero, as a result, balled out in the practice. What do they call it? Training camp. They say he actually balled out. I would love to see nothing more than you ball out this year and make it where either the Heat's not looking to trade you, or if they do look to trade you, people are happy to you become the trade potential that the Trailblazers were not interested in. That you'll turn that around. But we want you to ball out here. You're homebred. We drafted you, Heat Nation, and we want you to help Heat Nation turn it out. So basketball is right around the corner. About to wrap it up tonight. Well, I like the days when I love what Go Giga World does for us. They're the greatest producers of digital products on the internet. But I used to like when we used to close the show with Journey, I'll Be All Right Without You. We're trying to work some nice, and I've made some phone calls. We're trying to work that out. We can get some of those songs back. But for right now, we're doing our own thing. But we certainly appreciate what you're doing for us, Go Giga World. Remember, we want you to be in prayer. Pray for this world. Pray for Israel. Pray for the Middle East. Pray for the Middle East. There are a lot of people over there in that Gaza Strip that are going to be affected. We're asking you to pray for them. A lot of innocent people in Israel have lost family members. A lot of innocent Americans have lost family members. There are a lot of innocent people that have been kidnapped. We want you to pray for them. We've been able to get our minds off of some of this serious stuff and talk about sports, something entertaining for a few minutes. But these world problems still exist. Be in prayer. Send your thoughts. Tell others, and let's see if we can reach out and touch somebody's hand and make this world a better place if we can. Next week, the dialogue might do what we really wanted to do this week. We really may do it next week. But until then, this is Dialogue with Dozy. And the way I see it, you don't need to put the graphic up. The way I see it, it's been a ball of an hour. We've talked about crazy stuff. We've talked about terrible stuff. We've talked about fun stuff. Go out and have fun with your life. Make your life fun. Make your life enjoyable. Love the Lord your God with all your soul, all your heart, and all your mind. And have a great week. Dialogue with Dozy. We're back at you next week. GoGigaWorld.com. We love y'all.